Hello and welcome back to English Today. This is the second DVD of the beginner level, and in this DVD you will see 3 more episodes of our story, That's Life. And then in our special TV programs there will be a debate about low-cost airlines and an interview with a sports expert about football training. Then, in the grammar section, we will study the simple present, frequency adverbs, some and any, there is, there are, and also making suggestions. Now remember, if you have problems understanding anything, use the subtitles. Okay, so enjoy studying and have fun.
Hello, Anne.
Oh, it's you, Peter. Look, this is it.
Look at what?
My office. Here, near my bed.
Oh, I see. By the way, where are the office supplies?
The computer supplies are in that cupboard over there. The folders, pencils, pens, etc. are here in this cupboard. And I also have 2 chairs.
Oh, good. Are these for everyone?
No, they are not. Don't touch anything, please.
Okay, so you say you have all of the office supplies.
No, not really. There isn't a fax machine. There aren't all the programs I need on my computer.
And I guess you have an answering machine. Is it useful?
I don't need an answering machine. I answer the telephone myself.
Okay, you're right. This office is nice. And if you need a fax machine, I have one in my apartment.
Oh, thank you.
Wait a minute. Something is missing. Where's the coffee machine? All offices have a coffee machine.
I'm afraid there isn't one here. There's a staff kitchen on the other side of the house. In the kitchen. We can have some coffee there.
Good idea.
Hello and welcome back to English Today. How are you? Now, in that last episode of That's Life, did you notice that Anne described her office? And the most important thing for Peter was what? The coffee machine. Strange. Now, I want to look at the language that Anne used. She used there is a and there are some. Let me explain that to you. Now, if you have a single object, for example, like a glass, then we say there is a glass on the table, or there is a hat on the table, or there is a computer on the table. Okay? Now that changes when we have more than one object. Like these pens, for example. We say there are some pens on the table. Okay? There are some pens on the table. And therefore, in this example here, books, there are some books on the table. There are some CDs on the table. So you see how it changes. Now, let's go and look at that on the screen. You can see it written. So we said with singular objects, we say there is. The examples are there's a computer in Anne's office. There isn't a fax machine. That's the negative. There isn't a fax machine. There's a table in the studio, and there isn't a coffee machine, which Peter can't believe. Now look at the plural form. We say there are some office supplies in the office, and there are some pens and pencils, okay? And we also use that for the exact number of plural objects. So, for example, there are 2 chairs in Anne's office, and there are 4 pictures, for example, in her studio. All right, so that's an introduction to there is and there are some. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to look at the difference between some and any, which is very important. So listen out for that in the next episode and then come back here and we'll work on it. All right, see you later. Bye.
Do you want milk with your coffee? There's a bottle in the back of the fridge.
I prefer it without milk, but with some sugar.
Oh, I'm afraid there isn't any sugar.
Well, that's okay. Black coffee is good too. Do you have any of those great cookies?
Oh, yes. There are some cookies over here.
Peter speaking. What? An audition? No, not at all. I'm free. Great. Bye. Well, finally, an audition.
Wonderful. When?
Next Monday at the Opera Theater. These cookies are fantastic. Are there any more?
There are some more in the box.
Thank you. Bye, Anne. Time for music.
Hey! Take your dirty napkin away from my kitchen. It's nice to have you as my new office neighbour.
Hi again. Anne's a bit difficult, isn't she? Yeah. Now, this is a lesson about some and any. Remember, Peter said, "Can I have some coffee and some biscuits?" Well, I want to talk to you about that right now. Now, in order to understand some and any, we have to understand the difference between countable objects and uncountable objects. So, these things here are ingredients to make a wonderful English lemon cake. Let's divide them into countable objects and uncountable objects. Let's start with these. Now, these are lemons. Countable means you can count them. Uncountable means you can't count them. Can you count these? Yeah, 1, 2. So these are countable, so there are some lemons. Now, what about these? These are nuts. Can you count these? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, etc. So they are also countable. So we say there are some nuts on the table. Now, what about this? This is marmalade. Now, can you count marmalade? Well, you can count the container, but not the marmalade inside. So this is uncountable, and we say in English, there is some marmalade. It's a singular verb. So we put it here, it's uncountable. Okay? Now, let's look at this. What's this? This is salt. Salt. Now, is this countable or uncountable for you? Countable or uncountable? Well, it is very difficult to count all the little bits of salt. So this is uncountable. We put it here, all right? Now, next thing, these two, eggs. Countable, uncountable, 1, 2, countable. There are some eggs. This here is spices. Spices. Now, these you can count. So we say there are some spices. What about this? Milk. You can count the bottle, but can you count the liquid? No. So all liquids are uncountable, and we say there is some milk. There is some milk. So singular verb. Put that there. Now, what have we got here? Butter. Butter. Can we count that? Well, we can count a packet, yes, but the butter inside? Exactly, no, we can't count butter. So there is some butter, we put it here. Good. Now, what else have we got? Flour. You know, flour we use to make pizza, to make cakes. Is that countable? Exactly, it's not countable. It's like salt, like sugar, like coffee. So we put this here, uncountable. And the last thing, this. What's this? Water. Is water countable? No, it's not. So water goes with the uncountable. There is some water. It's quite difficult, hey? Let's look at the screen to see that written, all right? And we will do a general summary. So we said countable objects in the plural. In the positive form, we say, there are some lemons on the table. There are some CDs on the table. There are some eggs on the table. So that's countable. Now the negative is there aren't any. We use any. There aren't any cigarettes on the table. There aren't any biscuits. Important. Any for the negative. There aren't any magazines, for example. All right? Now, questions. Here again, we use the word any. We use any in the negative and any in the questions. So, are there any glasses on the table? Are there any books on the table? Are there any pens? All right, so some in the positive, any in the negative, and the question form. Good. Now, let's move on to uncountable objects. These ones here. The examples are, there is, singular verb, some sugar on the table. There is some flour on the table. There is some water on the table. Okay? Negative, again, we use any. We say there isn't any bread on the table. There isn't any wine, a liquid, on the table. There isn't any chocolate on the table, all right? Questions, again, with the singular verb and any. Is there any money on the table? Is there any pasta? Unfortunately not. And is there any beer? Okay? Now, I want to add one more thing to this lesson, and it's the words this, that, these, those. Let me explain. With one object, you say this CD when it's close to you, this CD. But when it's distant from you, far away, you say that CD, this, that. All right? We hear this very often. Let me take two, plural. Now we say these CDs. When they're far from you, we say those CDs. Okay? So these, those, one, this, that. Let's see that on the screen. So this book, plural, these books when they're close to you, and that chair, for example, and those chairs when they're distant from you. That's a big lesson, hey? There's a lot to remember. So we have some and any, countable and uncountable, this, that, these, those. Whew! You have a lot to do at home to study there. Anyway, no problem, because you're great students. So we'll meet again in the studio very soon for some more English. Take care. Bye for now.
Yes, I always go shopping on Saturdays. The first thing I do on Saturday is drive to the supermarket.
I sometimes go shopping on Saturdays, but usually I sleep late. I'm always so tired on Saturdays.
I'm never tired on the weekend. The weekend is a time for fun. I paint, go jogging, go out with some friends. Unfortunately, I sometimes have to study.
Oh, I sometimes do a little work at the weekend. When I'm free, I like going swimming, going to exhibitions, or to concerts, if I have enough money. Oh, and every Sunday, I clean up the entire flat. And in the evening, I watch TV.
Oh, I never watch TV. It's boring. Peter and I like going to the cinema at the weekend.
Yes, it's important not to watch too much TV. An hour a day or so, that's enough.
Come on, guys. You talk like my grandfather. Work, TV, housework on the weekends. Life is more.
I want you to take me to places where young people have fun.
Great. Get ready, Grandpa.
Hello and welcome back again to English Today, your live English language program. Now, did you notice how Anne said that she loves going to concerts and exhibitions, but she doesn't have enough money? Now, this word enough, it's written E-N-O-U-G-H. The pronunciation is enough. What does it mean? Let me show you. I have a ticket here for a concert, okay? This is 45 euro. 45 euro. Now, I have 40 euro here. 40 euro, 45 euro for the ticket. It isn't enough. It means it's less, it's not sufficient. It isn't enough. No ticket, no concert. So, happens. Like Anne, poor Anne, not enough money. Now, another example, you ask me, can I have a glass of water? And I say, sure. So, here you are. You say, what? Excuse me, it's not enough. Not enough, it's not sufficient. Oh, I say, okay, fine. So, glass of water, here we go. And you say, oh, it's too much. Too much. Now, that is the opposite. When something is in excess, it's too much. Let's go back to the ticket. For example, imagine that the theatre ticket has a discount. Now it only costs 30 euro. 30 euro. I've got 40 euro, which is too much. In excess, too much. But that's great. That's not a problem. That's great. I can go to the concert. Okay? So that's enough, too much. Now, one more word. It's a small word, and it's so. When do we use so? If I say to you, you are so intelligent, that describes an emphasis. You are so intelligent. You could also say, the glass is so full, okay? So is to express an emphasis of something. So, we've studied enough, too much, and so. Let's look at those on the screen now to help you, okay? Enough, pronunciation, enough, when something isn't sufficient. There isn't enough water in the glass. There isn't enough money. Then we can also use it with an adjective. The glass isn't full enough. After an adjective, it isn't full enough. Let's move on to too when we talk about something in excess. So, there's too much water in the glass. There's too much money. Great. There are too many coins. Now, many is because we use it with countable things. There are too many coins. We can use it with an adjective. For example, the ticket is too expensive. The glass is too full. All right? Then the last thing was so. When you want to emphasize something, the ticket is so expensive. The glass is so full. Or you are so intelligent. Fantastic. So that's the end of this lesson. Remember, enough, too much or too many, and so. That's it for now, and I'm going to see you again extremely soon. Take care. Bye.
Work is so hard, guys. I wake up at 6:30 every day, have breakfast, and take the train to work. Every day.
I know. I get up at 7, but I have a friend at work who usually gets up at 6.
Why? That's too early.
It takes him an hour to drive to work.
Wow, that's a long drive.
Yes. But he lives in the country. I think he's lucky. Every weekend he can go for walks in the woods, not in traffic jams.
I guess that's pretty nice. He lives in the countryside, but works in the city. A pretty nice combination.
What about you, Sharon? What time do you wake up?
I usually get up at about 9 o'clock, but I live in the city. It's easy to get to work.
Yes, but you get home very late. Often 6:30 or 7.
You know, I sometimes have 5 or 6 groups of tourists a day.
You work too much, my dear.
And you sing too much, Peter.
Hello again, and how are you? Now, from that last conversation, we learned that Sharon works too much and Peter sings too much. How about you? Do you work too much? What time do you get up in the morning? 6:45? 7 o'clock? 7:15? 7:30? Well, I'm going to describe my typical day, and I'm going to use the simple present to do that. All right? Well, first, I wake up at 6:45, but I don't get up. I listen to the radio and I listen to the news. Then after I slowly get up, that's difficult, and I take a shower. I take a shower. I get dressed, and then I go for a walk with Suki. Then we have breakfast together. She has dog biscuits, and I have toast, marmalade, and butter. Then I go to work on my scooter. Now, my boyfriend has a different day because he goes to work at 8 o'clock at night. Remember, he's a jazz musician. Now, did you notice I said he goes to work? That's because with the third person we add an S, goes. He goes to work at 8 o'clock and he comes home at 3 o'clock in the morning because he plays jazz concerts. Then he goes to bed and he gets up at lunchtime at 1 o'clock. So we meet at dinner, which is we don't have much time together. But that's life. Now that was the simple present tense, and now we're going to see that on the screen. Very, very important, this grammatical form. So, I work, you work, he, she, it works, she works, it works, we work, you work, they work. Now, very often you forget to put the S on the third person, so I have another teaching assistant who will help you to remember, Mr. Snakes. He is here to help you remember to put the S on the third person. So listen, I work at home, you work every day, he works at night, she works in an office, it works all week, we work together, you work full-time, they work at weekends. So remember, it's not difficult, the simple present in English. I work, you work, he works, she works, it works. Don't forget, Mr. Snake, don't forget the S, the third person. All right? Good. Now, listen to the next episode and try and pick out words like often, sometimes, occasionally, because we're going to study those next. All right? Go and have some fun. Bye.
Alice, I bet you don't wake up at 6 o'clock every day. Tell us something about your typical day at university.
Well, I sometimes have classes in the morning, but I usually have classes in the afternoon. On Mondays, I always attend lectures in the morning.
And where do you study?
I usually study in the library, but I sometimes study at home too, when I don't have classes in the morning.
My friend David also studies at your university. Do you remember him?
David Leary? Yes, I occasionally see him in the library and sometimes in the park.
In the park? Doing what?
He likes studying there. He takes his books, finds a nice park bench and reads there.
Not a bad idea. You can study and enjoy nature at the same time.
Yes, I like the park too. Unfortunately, I often need books that are in the library.
And what about lunch? Do you usually make sandwiches and take them with you?
Oh no, I hate cooking. I usually have lunch in the cafeteria with friends.
Oh, I do just the opposite. I usually cook lunch at home. I seldom have a quick lunch at coffee shops.
Okay, guys, stop with this boring talk. What about fun? Do any of you do anything besides working and studying? It's Friday, remember?
You're right, Jack. I'm so happy it's Friday.
Me too. It's weekend time.
Time for shopping.
Jack really knows how to provoke Anne, doesn't he? Did you notice those words? Sometimes, always, occasionally? Because we're going to study those now. And in English, they're called the frequency adverbs. And we usually use them with the simple present tense. And they describe how many times you do actions, frequency adverbs. Now, to help me introduce